Hi, I'm Rick Barron, your host, and welcome to That's Life, I Swear. So let's see. Inflation is on the rise. The Ukraine war could go to a nuclear state if Putin has his way. Wall Street is struggling. The Florida governor has attacked Mickey Mouse. Apple's iPod is going the way of the Walkman. Elon Musk wants to reinstate Trump's Twitter account. It's like our world is going topsy-turvy. I mean, what else can go wrong? Oh, wait a minute. This just in. A leaked document from the Supreme Court revealed that the court is leaning towards overturning Roe versus Wade. Let's jump into this. On May 2nd, a document was leaked out to the public from a place where one thought was airtight, the Supreme Court. The document was a draft ruling to overturn Roe versus Wade. Wow. Although the authentic document, as later revealed from the Supreme Court, was only a draft, not representing a final decision, the content launched a seismic political rift that would impact electoral and legal consequences. Well, brother, the reaction was quick. In the blink of an eye, protesters from pro-choice movement and pro-life gathered in front of the Supreme Court, with their made-up placards telegraphing their opinions and anger. Add pitchforks and torches, and you get the picture. Now, one would think the Republicans in Congress would have been jumping up and down hearing this news of a pending vote to end Roe versus Wade. I mean, this was a day in the making for almost 50 years. There was no breakdancing or the throwing of confetti. Of course not. They went radio silent and hid to avoid a backlash against their party ahead of the upcoming midterm 2022 elections. Brave individuals indeed, as always. On the day of the news, though, Mitch McConnell of Kentucky did come forward to the microphone to help us correct our morality compass. His pearls of wisdom were that it was not a leaked draft, but the fact the draft was leaked. Really? Yes, Mitch, you hit the nail on the head as to what was the real critical issue at hand. But unfortunately, in genuine Republican dialogue, we hear the rhetoric of distraction. Trumpism still runs rampant in the hallways of Congress. After hearing about the leak and what direction the Supreme Court's decision appears to be headed, I thought back to the moments when Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett went through during their confirmation hearings. All three nominees were asked if they would be so inclined to support overriding Roe versus Wade. All three conveyed they wouldn't because Roe versus Wade was a precedent. Now, what do we mean when we say precedent? I didn't know, so I started checking around the internet and Wikipedia, and here's what I found out. Precedent refers to a court decision that is considered as authority for deciding subsequent cases involving identical or similar facts or similar legal issues. Precedent is incorporated into the doctrine of stare decisis and requires courts to apply the law in the same manner to cases with the same facts. Well, I scratched my head and I asked, what happened? Why all of a sudden did precedent go out the window with Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Barrett when they all said that during their confirmation they wouldn't do this? Justice Samuel Alito, who wrote the draft, has a history from his days as an appeals court judge for disrespecting precedents and established understanding of the law. From his point of view, Alito saw the Constitution go off the rails with this decision for Roe versus Wade back in January of 1973. He felt it was a wrong decision, and rather than have the country be stuck with the outcome, he decided it was best to correct it. Alito's thinking is that the ruling was wrong from the get-go, and dismisses the argument that in Roe versus Wade, the right to choose abortion is part of the constitutional guarantee of liberty and privacy. He calls out that abortion is not deeply rooted in the nation's history and traditions. Okay, now, when the framers of our country were pulling together the text to our Constitution, I don't think they could have anticipated that the right to an abortion would be of high concern, thus adding it into the Constitution. I mean, over the past 240 plus years of our country's existence, many issues have come up. Things have changed during that time period and still are. Did all of those issues that have come up have to have been in existence when our country was born, thus deeply rooted? I mean, some decisions, both hard and easy, had to be made along the way. Sorry they weren't all there at the very beginning, Alito. For that matter, why must everything be sanctified in the U.S. Constitution? Now, they say the decision is still in draft mode and not final until the ruling is officially announced, which may be sometime in late June, early July. Seems to me the damage has already been done. As I was writing the script for this episode, I was struggling to come up with a title that would capture the essence of what I'm talking about today. I had a hard time. Just started scratching out ideas, and I felt that, I need a break. I need to get away. So I got in my car and had to do some errands anyway. So as I was driving to the store, I heard in my car radio on a news report, Ohio State Republican representative speaking in an Ohio House Government Oversight Committee, where the topic was, you guessed it, abortion. Now, some context here. Should Roe v. Wade be overturned by the Supreme Court, the Republicans in Ohio are geared to pass a trigger ban that would immediately criminalize abortion in the state without any exceptions for rape or incest. Trigger ban. It's funny how the conservative base uses gun analogies to label their bills. The representative was talking expressed that rape is a bad thing, but that there was a silver lining. A silver lining. Okay, let's see where this goes. The representative went on to explain her thinking, saying that rape was a difficult issue. And I quote, "But if a baby is created, it is a human life, and whether that mother ends the pregnancy or not, the scars will not go away, period. It is a shame that it happens, but there's an opportunity for that woman, no matter how young or old she is, to make a determination about what she's going to do to help that life be a productive human being. That child can grow up and be something magnificent, a wonderful family person, even cure cancer." End quote. When asked if her bill would force a 13-year-old who was raped to have a baby, the reply was an unequivocal yes. Now, this is coming from the party that bangs the drums for family values and protecting children from abuse. The line that really caught me and made me stop dead in my tracks was, there's an opportunity for the woman, regardless of age. I mean, I got so distracted hearing that, I almost missed the stop sign while in my car. Are we really thinking about telling women today, look, you got punched and thrown to the ground, raped by someone you don't even know from Adam. However, that baby you now have could cure cancer one day. Really? Now, how do you tell a 13-year-old who was forced into a circumstance they didn't want or ask for, gets raped, and now dealing with the birth of a baby, to then be told that it's an opportunity of a lifetime? So will the state come to the aid of this young 13-year-old? Will they provide the means by which she can complete high school, pay her way to college, parental care, housing, and whatever she may need to raise the baby? I think the congratulatory "it's an opportunity" is where the helping hand ends. I often wonder how those who want to protect life live in states where one is able to carry a concealed weapon without a permit or demonstrate the ability to handle a gun. Soon, Governor Ron DeSantis will push on such a law in Florida. Ron, do you remember Parkland? Many people promote saving a life, but you have no qualms about people carrying concealed weapons on their person. Now, wouldn't it be ironic if the child saved from an abortion to one day find themselves at the end of the barrel by a law-abiding citizen with no gun permit? Think about that. Now, what can we learn from this? What's the takeaway? Various legislatures in about 22 states will move to ban or substantially restrict access to abortion, if not already. The ending of Roe will establish what some see as not the end of the conversation, but to expand on it. Many states will see this as a golden opportunity to limit abortion access even further. A small segment of women would be able to travel out of the state for the procedure. Without question, it would be the rich versus the poor under a new abortion ruling. Such states, such as Louisiana, have advanced a bill that would classify abortion as homicide and have prosecutors bring criminal cases against women who end a pregnancy. Now, some see women who seek abortion do so only because they just don't want the baby. Hardly. There are other reasons that come up for making such a painful decision. Some examples. A woman who finds out at her 20-week anatomy scan that the infant she has been so excited to bring into this world has developed without life-sustaining organs. A woman who hemorrhaged due to a placenta eruption, causing her parents, spouse, and children to have to make an impossible decision on whether to save her or her unborn child. Or a woman who just found out she's already 13 weeks along, but the egg never made it out of her fallopian tube, so either she terminates the pregnancy or risks dying from internal bleeding. The majority of women, more likely poor, who don't have the ability to access a legal abortion in their state, will likely find another way. In another state, or ordering pills on the black market. Understand that abortion is the floor. It's not the ceiling. Should Roe be taken down, the Republicans won't say job done. Hardly. Instead, they'll see it as a green light to keep feeding the beast. That said, bear this in mind. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat of New York, put it well when she shared that there could be an expansion of ending Roe. She sees a conservative Supreme Court going after birth control pills, consensual same-sex marriage, gay marriage, and more. Should the Republicans regain the Senate and the House, you can almost be assured they will enforce stricter abortion laws across the entire country. It won't matter if your state supports a woman's right to have an abortion. To the Republicans, I ask this question. If your daughter was to one day be raped, will you honestly tell her and America, it's God's will, it's an opportunity, and you must have the baby? I'm guessing the answer would be the typical political evasive reply. I don't want to get into hypotheticals. Many states are already pulling together new laws to make abortion even more restrictive in anticipation the Supreme Court will overturn Roe versus Wade. I mean, these guys are probably in their offices with champagne bottles in hand, ready to pop the corks and celebrating what may be the inevitable. If you think some of what I've discussed won't happen, with all due respect, you're being naive. And all of this I find so ironic that one of the arguments Republicans keep supporting for their base is not wanting the government to tell them what or how they can live their lives. Do they not hear themselves talking? Looking back when we were knee-deep with COVID-19, people were screaming their objection to wearing a mask, let alone taking the vaccines. Hey, it's my body, I'll do whatever I want. That mantra was supported wholeheartedly by the Republicans. So run the risk of getting infected with COVID-19 and impacting others around you as well? Oddly, we didn't hear anyone saying that these defiant individuals could face being arrested and jailed. People would say this isn't a slippery slope. Well, we never would have thought that Roe versus Wade could potentially be overturned. To those who wait to celebrate the overturn of Roe versus Wade, be careful what you wish for, because you could be opening a can of worms. And to those who think the potential end of Roe is a shock, you haven't been paying attention. Well, there you go. That's life, I swear. For further information regarding the material covered in this episode, please visit my website that you can find on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, so you can find the show notes and the episode transcript. As always, thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe here or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. See you soon.